Hello people, Balozi Ezraki here. Welcome to Undunda Tree. You know what it is if you've been here before. At Undunda Tree, we discuss what connects and what disconnects us, which aim to educate one another through this idea of common sense and wisdom to understand behind human being actions. Sometimes certain things that we do, certain things that we say, we don't often have an opportunity for somebody to come and explain us the reality behind the scene. We have done so many amazing things and we will continue to do. We are quite unique comparing to other creations, and what differentiates us mostly is the way we think. Other creations feel, think, act, eat, do many things that we do, but where it's different with us is we think beyond them. But we face many problems because we don't tend to do the basic things. Often we think we know, and sometimes we just think it's bad to discuss certain things because are very simple. But it is these simple things that we fail to understand, we fail to do better. What you think is simple may not be simple to somebody else. Or the reality is 1 minute you might think this is simple, but when you act on this, then you come to understand that it's not that simple. As a human being, we make all these mistakes where you see somebody doing something and you think, I can do that, I can do better than that, right? Okay, here's a microphone. The moment you give that person a microphone to sing, oh my God, what the hell is this? Wow. Even yourself, you just think, I thought it was that easy. It looks easy, but it's not easy, because we often think just because somebody is doing something or has done something, you can also do it. And that's okay, because something that somebody do, you can also do it if you are committed to do what that person did. It's not impossible, but not because somebody has done something that means you can also do it or you have the ability to do it. Today we are back with another small episode. These are small episodes where I try to answer particular questions raised by our audience or the questions that have come across. I'm sure you have heard many people say, particularly in a Western society, you don't beat a woman. A man who beats a woman is a coward. A man who beats a woman is this, is that, is this, is that. This is what we are looking at. So the topic we are looking at today is it okay for a man to beat a woman? We just want to discuss this a little bit. This is common sense, by the way. We don't just say what you want to hear. We don't just say what you have heard, or whatever society or country you are in where you have been told this is this. No, we try to break this as a part of common sense. Let's start by understanding beating. When we say beating, we are referring on conflict. And before we look at whether is it okay for a man to beat a woman, let's first understand conflict. We can look at conflict as the disagreement between two people that has reached to a level where it has not been solved, which can lead to conflict. Conflict can involve insulting, pushing, it can involve slapping or beating. A general conflict between countries can involve wars. These are forms of conflict. In this sense, all these are ways of beating somebody. If you look the way parents educate children, you have a different way that you educate a child. And through this education, sometimes you give these children a punishment. Let's say if you have done something wrong, parent can say, today you are not gonna eat. Or let's say, for instance, you usually eat at 2 o'clock. Everybody will eat at 2 o'clock. And you come to eat until maybe 10 p.m. That is a punishment, is a beating. This person will suffer, will be angry about this, is not happy, will be affected. And they might even fail and collapse because they have not eaten all day. So there is a consequence within this, right? I just wanted to add that so you understand something else on top. You also have other beating, as I said, when you insult somebody to the point that person will be affected mentally. He might not have a bruise on his or her body, but mentally that person can feel beaten, and the person may even end up going and do something worse than that. You can see it starts from disrespecting somebody, insulting somebody, shouting at somebody, to that. So that also is beating somebody. There are people, when you shout at them, you take them to a different level, and for them it's just like you are beating them. And then you have physical beating, which I feel like people focus more on, right? But remember, there is mental beating that I already mentioned, because you can do things to somebody that can cause the person to suffer mental health without slapping them, without pushing them. This person will suffer mental health and all this and that, and perhaps that person's life will never be the same again. First, I just wanted to provide you with a different scenario scenario that sometimes you don't take in consideration in terms of how you beat somebody. So there are many ways. I'm just trying to provide you with a few examples, whether it's a kid, whether it's your husband, whether it's your wife, whether it's your cousin, insulting somebody, disrespecting somebody, screaming at somebody, lying against somebody. Is this okay? The reality, I'm sure you say it's not okay. And you may also say it's okay. And I will say why you might say it's not okay. It's not okay because even yourself who's actually taking the act, you are not doing it because you think it's okay. You don't just enjoy shouting at somebody. Even if somebody might now be in a zone where they think it's just okay to disrespect somebody, that is because they are in a different zone. But before they start doing that, it was never something perhaps they felt was okay to do. Somehow, somewhere along the way, they were not comfortable with it, even themselves. And then bit by bit, it became like a habit or a behavior that has developed to the point where you see somebody start shouting time to time, or somebody has now lack respect. They can't even differentiate whether they are disrespecting somebody or whatever they're doing is disrespectful. So this insult, this is shouting, this is screaming, it's not okay to be done to anybody. The only way we can think it's okay is because it's part of human nature. It's what we do, right? And people have the right sometimes to shout. As it's also good for them. They express whatever they express out there, and that's okay, you know? But remember, the person who's being shouted at is not okay with that. And you as a person who's doing it, you might not be happy about what you are doing. And this is the reason why we usually regret our action. Often we do things and later we regret about them. You start asking yourself, why was I shouting at her in the first place? You know, and this can affect you, particularly if it's not part of your normal behavior. It's not part of your personality to do this. You do it because of whatever happened, and as a human being, we can shout, we can go out of our comfort zone and disrespect people. And this is not exceptional from physical fighting. So we can ask ourselves, is it okay to fight? Whether this is between two people, whether this is between countries, is it okay to fight? Again, you come to understand that it's not okay to fight, but it's part of human nature. Conflict is part of who we are as a human being. We fight, we laugh, we joke, we move on. But it's not okay because it affects us. It affects the person who things being done to, and at some point, it also affects the person who's doing it. As the person may be doing it because something has happened or something has been done to him or her, then that is just a response. So you come to understand that slapping somebody, shouting at somebody, talk disrespectfully is a way of expressing. Now, when you have two people, one who's stronger than the other, the reality is if you put these two people to express their anger between them, to react in a conflict way, often the person who's not strong physically is not gonna choose slapping or punching somebody, right? This person would rather shout, say a word that would disrespect the other person, and then the other person will be angry, very angry. But the other person might feel like he or she's strong physically. Instead of shouting, his strength or his strength might be physical. So that person can also react in a way that is beyond the other person. You have to pick where your strength is. And when it comes to man, you come to understand that the strength of men is more physical. Two ladies can stand in one place and this will say, and then, but as a man, it's something that doesn't fit well with us. We just feel like, you know what, I don't have time to say this and that and that. If you were a man, just stand there, let's just fight. Whoever who beat the other, respect will start from there. And the nature of the other sex, which is women, they also have their ways. They can do other things which we knock out men. They might not choose the physical battle because they know that may not be their stronger side. Although when we say, is it okay for a man to beat a woman, women these days have become the aggressive people in another sense. For example, in a relationship, a man say one thing, before you know it, he receive a slap from a woman, right? Is it okay a woman to slap a man, or is this portrayed the same? Just walk in a society, see a man slap a woman once or twice, see how many people will come around and surround surrounding the area. There will be people who call police. There will be people who say things. There will be people who will even hold that man, who will even put their life in danger to do that. But how many times do you see women slap men every day on the street, in a bar, wherever you are around you? Do you see the same reactions? You don't see the same reactions. In this sense, it looks like it's okay for a woman to slap or beat a man, but it's not okay for a man to slap or beat a woman, right? And this is being changed by these law things, law policies that are pushed to defend one gender. Yes, men are physically more strong, but there are men who get beaten by their women in the house many times, and these men are afraid even to come out. And sometimes even when they say it, people laugh at these men. They don't even have people to support them with this. Or sometimes these men are beaten, and not physically but mentally, what I explained earlier. Emotionally, you get a woman who is so disrespectful, a woman who every time they want to start a conflict, a woman who's not able to manage their anger every time they want to get in confrontation. And this man might not be a man who can stand this. Perhaps this man has done everything, has spoken in many ways, but it has not worked. So from now, you can understand that it's not a good thing for a man to beat a woman. Same as it's not a good thing for a woman to beat a man. It is not a good thing for a person to beat or to slap another person, because it creates pain. And we all feel pain the same way. And don't take me wrong, a man might even experience pain 3-4 times, because this comes with a lot of humiliations. Let's say if he's slapped by a woman somewhere out there. So these are not good things, but they are part of who we are as a human being. And conflict will never go away from us. It's part of who we are. It will never change, in a sense where people will never confront each other. I'm not somebody who will tell you like, oh, this is this. No, I'm not here to lie to you. Conflict is the opposite of joy. If you say conflict is not there, you might think that we always live happily together in peace or whatever, which is never ever gonna be, because conflict is either misunderstanding or two people who see one thing differently and they fail to agree. Remember how I started this conversation. They fail to agree on a certain things, then they cannot compromise. There are certain things that sometimes people cannot compromise, and this can lead to conflict. You have to understand why countries go to war, but it's not countries that goes to war. It is people. This government versus that government. So we have to start looking at these things differently. To be honest, I don't appreciate when the people say a man should not beat a woman. It's not okay for a man to beat a woman, but they don't finish this sentence. We can change this by saying it is not okay for somebody to beat another person. Although in some sense we can understand that it's a part of who we are, and at the end of the day, conflict is always gonna be there. But we all have the duty and the responsibility to be a society that reduce conflict among us. And these conflicts are not merely about the physical conflict. The physical beating can be mental beating, can be any sort of thing that we do to harm somebody else. There are many out there. Government do it to their own populations. Companies do it, taking advantage on people. And all these are all bad. They are all conflict, and they harm people sometimes even worse than this beating we are talking about. So we can change the language. Like I said, we can start saying it's bad for somebody to beat somebody. It's bad to fight. Let's not fight. Let's not beat each other. Let's not slap each other. And it doesn't matter who is doing it. Let's find other ways to express ourselves, particularly when we are hungry. Like I said, if you take a glass of water, you smack on somebody's face, whether that is just water, the other person is not gonna react exactly the way you have reacted. The other person will react in a way that suits them better, and might be slap, punching, lifting something, a hit, or could be insult. So these things are not great for us as a society. No one deserves to get to what I'm saying here. Nobody, because we all feel a pain about these things. We can minimize this pain by understanding that this is not good for anybody, rather than language being used mainly about a woman. A woman is not exceptional here. The woman has the same body as the man body. The man feel the pain just like the woman feel the pain. So I'm sure you get what I'm saying, and I'm sure I have answered this question. Let's build a wonderful world. Let's be a great great society. Let's reduce conflict among us. When we change individually, even our world won't have many wars, because what brings these wars are conflict that start within ourselves individually, in our houses. Then when we have different roles, whether it's in government, whether it's in companies, and it is the same attitude, habit, or behavior that we push out there. So thank you for listening. Once again, I hope you took some understanding out of it. My name is Balozi Ezrake. You can check our social networks, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just type Andunda Tree, or just check our website, andundatree.com. Until next time, one love.